It says 30 seconds.
Oh.
Then I will call this Tuesday, June 9th, regular meeting of the Knox County Commission to order. All of the commissioners are present. What we usually do first is updates from the commission, but if you don't mind putting that off after the presentation. And normally we open with public comment. If anybody has comment they would like to address to the presentations, we'll have a public comment period after the presentation. So we'll open up public comment for anybody who has anything they would like to bring to the commission other than the discussion of the airport. Is there anybody who'd like to address the commission? Seeing as there's none, we'll move right on to the presentations. The first one we have scheduled is Boutique Air.
Well, hi everybody, my name's Nick. I also have with me Nadeem and Katie, who's Director of Operations and Director of Marketing. Thank you guys for taking your time out of your guys' busy schedule, your busy day. Let's get this going here. All right, so I'm part of Boutique Air. Obviously, I am the, not obviously, I am the Assistant Chief Pilot with Boutique Air. It's not gonna work for me here. I'm a retired Air Force Master Sergeant. I was a mechanic for 20 years, retired out of the service in Spokane, Washington. I've been lucky enough to become the Assistant Chief Pilot with Boutique Air, and now I'm here talking to you guys on behalf of Boutique. What we're offering in our bid is our Pilatus PC-12 and our Piaggio P180s. They are both extremely fast. They both have very high ceilings. They all have GPS approaches in them. One's multi-engine, one is single engine. Our Pilatus PC-12 offers cabin class comfort, space, and superb handling. You can see up here we got modern design. It's been in production since 1994 till present. They're still making these aircraft. 300 mile per hour cruise, dragnet gear, 30,000 ceiling, and phenomenal severe / adverse weather handling capabilities. What it doesn't say up here is we also have large tires on our aircraft, so it handles snow and icing conditions very well. Pilatus safety. Let's see if this thing works. It's getting annoying going back and forth here. Okay, 2,000 plus have been produced. Oh yeah, thank you, Katie. 10 million flight hours have been logged in the Pilatus PC-12. The PT-6 engine there have been 47,000 of these aircraft, or these engines produced, and over 400 million hours have been logged on these engines. It is the safest single turbine ever produced. Next slide, please. Cabin class comfort and space. We have a mid-size jet size in the cabin. Yes, you do have to bend down just a little bit, but for me, it's about like that to get into it. But once you sit down, it's lovely inside. 8 to 9 passengers, in-cabin storage space, a large TSA secured cargo area, pressurized, climate-controlled cabin, and cargo, and an enclosed lavatory. So our lavatory is up here in the front. This is our lavatory, and then this is our TSA secured cargo in the back. Next slide, please. We do offer the Piaggio P180, so this is the fastest aircraft in our fleet. It offers jet speed, fuel efficiency, and frequency support. We know that the Rockland community wants 21 round trips during the non-peak seasons and then 42 in the off-peak seasons. With this aircraft, you get to Boston in 25 minutes. In the PC-12, it's 35, roughly. It has modern design. It has a canard up front. Some people call it the catfish, and you guys can obviously see why they call it the catfish. It looks like a catfish. 41,000 foot to ceiling, and we have GPS approaches because we've upgraded all our electronics in our fleet of Piaggios. Next slide, please. So our reliability, our controllable reliability, 99.97%. reliability, and that has increased 1% year over year for the last 3 years. I don't take any responsibility over that. It's actually our director of operations. He's pushed some very good routines for us, and it has actually increased our reliability greatly. Our pilots, 99.9% of all of our flights are dual crew. The only time we don't have a second pilot is sometimes for our reposition flights. We only need one. But on all of our mainline, it's always 2 crew. We have training in aircraft. We've got strong reserves for our pilots. We do not have a pilot shortage, even though some people may say that. We do not have that. And they are regionally trained. We've got pilots that are in the Boston area that know the Boston area very well. Our aircraft, a route like this will have dedicated aircraft to it. It'll actually have more than one aircraft dedicated to it because the frequency is going to require at least 3 to 4 aircraft to maintain the frequency on this. They're dedicated, and they're, we have region recovery. So Boston, Messina, we've got aircraft all over the place in the region. So if something does go down, we have the ability to recover a route. For our mechanics, we like to use local first, our contract maintenance support first. We do have maintenance base in Dallas. We do have on-staff aircraft mechanics in Dallas that can come out. We do also have nationwide contract maintenance. Our maintenance flow is use local mechanics first. If they can't handle it, then we send our mechanics out after that. And we use, after that, if it can't be fixed by our mechanics, then we send the aircraft up. Recovery time is pretty quick. Next slide, please. Actually, go back one slide. I forgot something. So our reliability rating, our non-controllable rate in the wintertime is 90%. In summertime, it's 97%. So we can handle things like icing, strong winds. We had strong wind in Boston the other day. We had 0 cancellations. We were pushing through it. We have icing conditions every now and then. We push through those. We can actually get above them. We can get below them. We can get around them. We can go all over the place since we have a good climb rate out of here, and we can handle all of it with all of our de-icing and anti-icing equipment on the aircraft. Next slide, please. Thank you. So what do we offer in addition to the EAS system? So what does this mean for everybody else? We offer premium services. Our aircraft are executive style aircraft. They're actually set up for executives. But we use them for our EAS route. What that means is that comfortable seats, premium leather in all of our aircraft, not just in the seats themselves, but on the headliner is also leather. What we also offer is skiing destination and golf destinations. We offer this everywhere that we have our main bases. So Portland, not Portland, Maine, Portland, Oregon. Portland, Oregon, we offer this. We offer golf resorts down to a place called Banyan State. It's very popular with golfers. I've actually transported many golfers into and out of the area myself. We do a lot of skiing up there as well. These are some of the areas that you guys could see with using us. The Sagemore, Crystal Springs, Stowe, Sugarbush, and Sunday River. We also offer other destinations. So with our PC-12, skiing and golf is very, very efficient. If there's a lot of business operations, so some of the destination for our P-180 is New York, Washington, D.C., and Mid-Atlantic down to Atlanta area. We're roughly about 2.7 hours-ish in our P-180. Next slide, please. Airline crew travel. So I know that there are some pilots in the area. We actually have a very, very strong base of pilots in the Owl's Head, Rockland, Rockport area. We offer ID90 to any employees that we have in our system. My ID Travel, we also offer that. Much like every other company in the room, the airline in the room, you guys are going to have access to ID90, so anybody who works for us is going to have access to this. What this also means is those reciprocal agreements for the local community. If there are retired airline pilots in here, or if there are current airline pilots, they can actually get to Boston with us just like the other guys, we offer those same things. But we have 40 reciprocal airline travel agreements within our system. Katie, do you want to take over?
Sure.
Okay. I'm gonna hand the floor over to
Okay.
Katie.
So I just wanted to talk about the services we offer. So we have no baggage fees. So that's across the board. It doesn't matter how many bags you check. We don't charge for baggage. We also don't charge for pets. We don't charge for unaccompanied minors. There are no extra fees. So whenever you book a ticket, we are the lowest fare on this bid. $79 is that's where we're gonna start. We have free TSA pre-check, but we also have a voucher program. So if you are flying quite a bit, you can buy a set of 10 vouchers. And if the price of the flight, it sells out, if you bought those vouchers at $79 a piece, you could even book a flight the day before. It doesn't matter, as long as there's a seat, you get it at that same low price that you bought the vouchers at. So there is a way that you can always guarantee you're gonna get the lowest price is if you buy a book of vouchers. We do have complimentary snacks on board, so we have sodas and chips and your normal things that the larger airlines carry. Mobile boarding pass, you can do everything from your cell phone. We have customer service 24 hours. Our customer service is bilingual, so if you need a Spanish speaker or English speaker, and I do believe they also speak other languages, we'll have wheelchair service. And then, of course, as you guys are a seasonal destination for our other communities, when there is a need seasonally, we can add additional flights when the season would call for that. This is a sample of things that we do in the community. So if you have community festivals or things that you want us to sponsor, we will do that, and we will actually come out and participate in them. This was Oktoberfest, and we did grape stomping in the community. That's in Oregon, but that's just a sample. In Messina, if you guys know upstate New York, they have a huge bass tournament. So our corporate team will come to these community events because it is super fun to actually know the individuals in the community. And so that's something that we are usually really excited about, is to know the individuals that are flying the airline that we deal with on a normal basis and not just from far away. We will continue to actually be in your community ourselves. And then, pretty great intro for this next slide. You can find us everywhere. So we have great visibility. If you log on wherever you search for flights, you're gonna find us, whether that's Kayak or Priceline. If you're gonna Google your search, even people, if they're coming from Paris to Boston and then they wanna get here, it can be found on these. And then we do have interline with American and United, which that means we can adjust those tickets, so if something goes wrong, we have access to that. We also transfer the baggage, so if you are connecting with those airlines, you don't have to worry about getting your bags and redoing all of that. Especially with Boston being an American hub, that is really convenient for people that are traveling that have an interline. So that is where we're gonna hand it back to you.
Oh, thank you. Alrighty, so back to me, two things, I did compete in the grape stomping competition, I did lose. Second thing, the ringtone that I just heard, was that the Air Force theme song? Was that the?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Guy, okay, sorry, moving on. Boutique, the one we offer, I know that Rockland already offers, Avis. But that is sporadic at best, from what I've heard. During the heavy season, they offer a bazillion options. They've got a lot of cars out of there. During the off season, I don't think there's much available. We offer ours there all year. If you guys need it, we're willing to bring it on. Next slide, please. Same thing, you guys can go on to Boutique Air, actually, and there's a link within it, Boutique Car. You guys can just click on the link and it's right there. Next slide, please. Okay, big thing. Why Boutique Air? The aircraft fit. This is a multi-mission aircraft, so we don't just serve just the EAS community, we also serve other options. Our aircraft are fast, they go high, they get around, whether they can go in, whether they can do all of it. Affordability, like Katie said, our fare for the community itself is the lowest fare, it's the most affordable, and we do not charge baggage fees ever. Frequency support, our aircraft, the turbine aircraft, they just work and they keep working, and they keep working, and they work some more. They are a workhorse. Flexibility in our operations, because we have lots of aircraft around here, we've got lots of pilots. We do have the flexibility in our operations, we can go anywhere. Our premium and executive options, our aircraft is perfect for all of them, for everybody. Turbine efficiency, turbines are fast, they're efficient, they get up, the higher we go, the better the efficiency is. And I know the same thing for the jet guys in here, the higher you guys go, the more efficient it's gonna be. What do we actually do? We're gonna enhance the local workforce. So I know that this was a big thing set up by Congress at the June 3rd meeting, is they want to see the enhancement of the local community. Our aircraft does that. It allows the efficiency to get into and out of the community easily. Increased business growth with our aircraft, bringing in more people and talent. That's what you gotta get out of us. And weather avoidance, we can get into and out of weather easily. Our wind tolerance is greater, and I would think, Nadeem, do you have anything you'd like to add?
Yeah, I think you covered everything.
Okay, well, next slide, please. If you guys do want us and you want your voice to be heard, you can actually scan this QR code, and it'll send you right to the DOT's link with your phone. You guys can leave a comment for us. If I don't have, there's no questions for me at the moment, our time is done. You guys have any questions for us? No? Leave comments later?
Thank you.
Right, thank you guys.
I do have a quick question.
Yes, sir, go ahead.
How many other markets are
We're in Pendleton, Portland, Boston, and Messina. We've got 2 other routes, and we're expanding. But we also do charter into and out of Las Vegas, Miami, and Dallas. So we do have bases in Portland, Las Vegas, Dallas, Miami, and Boston. Yeah, so we're 5 places. Yeah, that's where we are.
And the quarterback are on it.
Oh,
You know,
thank you.
they don't maybe one. And.
I did not sabotage that. I just, we're down.
You guys wanna sit? We can make
That's maybe a bit,
Yeah.
but we're great.
Oh, Nick can sit.
Yeah, but.
Glad we went first. Slow down.
You're.
It's.
That's the dollar.
Somebody just.
This was me and Bradford.
Was it?
You appreciate the meetings, everyone.
Yeah.
TV basically outlet.
That outlet, see that box that's underneath the TV that I've got my chart up to?
Yeah.
No.
Sorry, can we email the presentation? That'd be okay?
Yeah, sweet.
Do you have the right,
Well, it's not bad, I can't even get the laptop sometimes.
I was gonna say, no, do you have the same,
Oh,
Is that a USB-C that you were?
Yeah.
Is there a chance?
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, if that's it.
yeah, whichever.
It's I'll try hearing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where's the? This one, okay. This is.
Is it TV Bluetooth or Wi-Fi you get?
Seems.
There we go.
You have to do that, didn't
More hammer.
you? Yeah.
Do you want me to turn off this TV while you get set up?
Yeah.
So you see your whole.
Works.
Yeah.
Definitely.
All right, should be all set. Sorry. Sorry, everyone. Thank you so much for the patience.
Patient?
Maybe
There we go.
So we'll try and be quick with this, but quick introduction first. My name is Ben Munson. I'm the president of Contour Airlines. I've been in the industry for about 20 years. Grew up in Florida. I started with an airline, AirTran. Spent about 5 years there. Went up to Alaska Airlines in Seattle, and there got a lot of exposure to regional aviation. That's something that I really developed a passion for. And for the last 10 years of my career, and really focused on the regional aviation space. Started 2025, came on with Contour full time. I was really enthralled by what the business was doing for regional communities just like this one, and think that it offers a very, very unique product that we're excited to share with you today. Liam, would you like to?
Yeah, I'm Lee McKay, Chief Financial Officer, clearly not an IT guy. But I've been also in the airline industry for over 20 years. Started my career with United Airlines, and the last decade really focused on being in the regional airline industry. Is really being in communities like this, seeing what regional airline aviation provides, access to the network carriers. That's really what is my passion, so I'm glad to be here speaking with you all.
Yeah, very much appreciate the time. Maybe before we go into the presentation, just to give an executive overview, maybe is I think captured here of what we're really trying to bring to the community. Maybe just the first call out. I know there's a lot of Cape Air folks in the room, and we hold them in the absolute highest regard. Cape Air is a wonderful airline. I'm sure they've done an excellent job serving this community for the past 15 years. But I think what we really want to highlight is somewhat specific differences that we're bringing from a hard product perspective, and in particular, what we think a regional jet can bring to this community. And when we look at the passenger volumes that are here and the experience that can be brought both for the residents of Knox County as well as visitors alike. We think that this is an upgrade that makes sense for this community, both from a commercial and operational perspective, and we'll get into the specifics of that plan. But first wanted to cover just an overview of who we are. Contour, we're based in Nashville, Tennessee. It's where Liam and I live. The business has been around for over 40 years. The majority of our history was actually tied more towards the charter space and the maintenance space. We've got an FBO in Nashville as well. And those are all still important parts of our business. But about 10 years ago, there was a new leadership team at Contour. And the idea came about to build a product, both from a commercial and an operational perspective, that could deliver something really unique to the essential air service space. And that's what we've grown into. And that's really what represents close to 70% of our business today. It's something that has been contemplated on all the operational sides, on all the commercial sides, as to what's a competitive advantage that we could bring into a community like this one. And we're in over 40 cities, have about 40 regional jets in our fleet. In the essential air service communities that we provide, we exclusively operate 30-seat regional jet aircraft. The aircraft type we'd be looking at here is the ERJ aircraft, which is the one that we showed on the first slide. We've got about close to 900 employees across that system now. And one of the things that is a real point of pride for us is the hard products that we're delivering into communities, as well as the soft products that our employees are able to bring to our customers. So the aircraft types that we operate, the Embraer regional jets, are built for anywhere between 37 and 50 seats. We bring those down to 30 seats in configuration. And that allows us to fly under 135, which allows us to bring that equipment type into this community without infrastructure investments at the airport. But the practical implications of that for the customers, that you're getting a very premium experience. So the way that there's a picture on the bottom right here, but the way that the cabin is laid out is a 2x1 configuration. So very comfortable for couples or families, as well as for individuals that want to be sitting by themselves. And because we're able to space out those seats, we're offering our customers something like 36 to 37 inches of seat pitch. So it's really creating like a premium, like almost a first class cabin experience of what you would experience on a premium regional jet cabin with one of our mainline partners. But we're able to deliver that to all of our customers. We're gonna have 2 pilots on every departure. That's not an option for us once you're into an aircraft type this size, and a flight attendant on board every flight as well with a food and beverage service. So we're delivering a cabin class experience to customers, which is something that is just inherently more comfortable for a lot of consumers that are going to be experiencing something like that they're more familiar with flying on a jet aircraft. Outside of the folks that would want to do that from the comfort side, one of the points of pride that we've had in the communities that we've gone into is making air travel more accessible for a lot of folks that might struggle getting onto a 9-seat platform. So for folks that have mobility issues, and those could be a difficult journey for them. Getting onto this type of aircraft where there's a ramp that we would be bringing in, aisle chairs, and quite a bit more seating space is something that makes travel possible for folks locally that typically wouldn't be able to benefit from that in the way that other members of the community could.
So here's just an overview of our route network, and I think we're really proud to be the largest independently branded regional airline in the essential air service community. And it looks like a lot of lines all across the U.S. from California all the way to the Caribbean. But we've built that network by partnering with communities and flying to where they want to go. It's not a case of this is where we can take you. It's working with communities and really working with them to find if they want to go to 1 or 2 markets or whatnot. And so as a result of that, we've had a lot of success building our network out in a lot of different geographical areas. But maybe what's more important than the lines on the graph is what actually happens in each city that we go to. Each city receives a dedicated aircraft and a dedicated crew. And that helps for 2 reasons. One, it enabled us to be very flexible in scheduling with you, be able to make sure that there's an aircraft ROing overnight, so it can leave out in the morning and fly back late in the evening and have the crew overnight here. And it also enabled us to make sure we have adequate resources to run a reliable operation. In addition to kind of that setup, we also have our main maintenance base in Nashville with additional spare aircraft to help support the entire network.
And so maybe a couple of things I would add real quick, to complement some of the points Liam was making on the operational side as well. I think, reliability is so important, and we're gonna touch on that. I think you've got 3 really reliable operators here. But the way that we make sure that we achieve that is with a really strong spare complement for our fleet. So we've got spares throughout the system. We've got 22 scheduled lines of flying. We've got 29 30-seat aircraft that we're able to tap into to make sure that if there is an issue with one, that we're able to substitute another. In addition to that, we've got a significant heavy presence, a large, what's called a 145 facility that does both support for us and outside party support in Nashville, but that is complemented with significant investment in our line stations. So if we are fortunate enough to be selected for this community, we'd be looking either to partner with an existing operator to make sure that we've got A&P technicians that are meeting every flight, or we would be hiring 2 folks on our end to make sure that anytime one of our departures is on the ground in Laughlin, we've got the ability to have a technician there to make sure that our fleet continues to move. From a schedule side as well, these are airplanes that are designed to be flying 7-8 hours a day at a minimum. And what we're looking at in this community is talking about 2 round trips per day. And all of that really contributes to reliability as well. So these airplanes that are intended to be flying twice as much as they will be, gives significant room for maintenance, touch time, for recovery if there is weather issues, those sorts of things. They're pretty quick to be able to make that time across our network as well.
So, as a CFO, I always love talking about operations, because an efficient operation is also the most cost effective. So, we got 2 charts here. The one on the left is talking about completion factor. And, if you look at, the last 12 months, we operated 97% total completion factor. That takes into consideration factors such as weather, blizzards, runways being closed, ATC issues, things like that. If you strip all that out, we run over a 99% controllable completion factor, which is I think very strong operational reliability. And then on the right here, we're talking about on-time performance. And there's a lot of different ways airlines can measure on-time performance. The way we measure internally at Contour is called D0. That means the flight depart on time. It doesn't count if it leaves 1 minute late, 5 minutes late, 15 minutes late. It doesn't leave on time. And the reason we think that's super important is typically when the aircraft leaves on time, it arrives on time. And we also don't want to provide ourselves with a great experience saying, oh, it arrived within 15 minutes. A lot of people on our flights are making connections. We've all seen people run across airports trying to make those connections and know that every minute matters. And so that's why we measure ourselves from a 0 perspective. And over the last 12 months, we've beaten the major network carriers on that. That's something that is really important to us. Even as a finance guy, I sit and talk about operations all the time because we know it really matters to our customers. In addition to operational reliability, safety is paramount for all the airlines here. And I won't go into all the detail, but essentially we have every major accreditation an airline like us can have. And it's rooted in everything. And then a little bit of overview on our commercial portfolio. If you go back several years, the story about Contour is a little different. A couple years ago, we had 1 commercial agreement with American Airlines. And today we have commercial agreements with Alaska, JetBlue, and United. And we're excited to move forward with an agreement with Delta this year. What this really means for the community is optionality. You can go to these airline websites, book a ticket right to Laughlin, connecting to all of these major airlines. And that enables you to compare, price shop, not be beholden to just one airline. In addition, you can purchase these tickets through a bunch of different means. You can go to their website, all the OTAs, Google Flights, however you want to buy a ticket, you can do that, but have a ton of different options for your community. And then from a day of perspective, it's a seamless travel experience. You can check in, receive your boarding passes for all your connecting flights, baggage goes all the way through. So it really enables a very nice travel experience. And when we're talking about FOP and having a bunch of different options, I thought it's really important.
Okay, so thank you, Liam. Now a little bit to the specifics of the proposal that we have for the airport here, in Rockland. If we want to get right into it, there's really kind of a couple key tenets, if you boil it down, that we're excited about the potential of bringing into the community. First, it starts with the premium jet service. So the idea for that, we're able to now introduce a larger cabin class aircraft into this community, considerably more seats. What that's going to mean in terms of being able to expand the catchment of the airport and the number of people that can use their local airport here, and really benefit the residents of Knox County. And with that is going to come lower airfare. We're going to speak to that in detail, but given the fact that we're able to spread our costs over 30 seats, there's considerably more flexibility that we have to be able to offer discounted airfare to passengers. That generates traffic, that creates savings for folks in the community, it makes it easier for them to travel, and a lot more seats with the potential for more destinations depending on the proposal that is selected. So just to go into the detail of our proposal a little bit, we've put three options forward to the Department of Transportation. I think what's important to consider when evaluating any proposal is the subsidy ask and whether that's reasonable from the Department of Transportation and whether one is technically a selectable bid. And when we look at the variations versus the incumbent, and I think the value that we've been able to demonstrate to the department, the cost difference is to the point that I think each one of these has the potential to be a selectable bid from the Department of Transportation. So the choices really come down to Contour as to whether what I think would be preferred for the community. Each one of our options would have 12 flights per week with 30-seat aircraft. That's what we're able to do as part of the response to the Department of Transportation on this proposal. Three options. The first assumes all of that capacity gets put into Boston. The third assumes that all of it goes into Washington, DC. And the middle option, option B, is one that is offering both of those destinations for the community. If you were to look at a route map that we showed you earlier from a couple years ago, you'd see that every single one of our spokes had a single hub point that it was going to. And our sense has been, especially post-COVID, that the frequency, the value of that has really come down. And what's better is actually to offer customers more flexibility and additional destinations. So we're shifting to the majority of our network is actually leveraging those 12 flights per week to offer multiple hubs to customers. That's not something that we have to do. That's something that we've observed as beneficial for every one of the communities in which we've done it. And where we have the community support, that's what we've proceeded with. If that's something that didn't make sense for this community, it's not absolutely not something we would have to do. But our observed experience has been that has been incredibly favorable. And we wouldn't be able to convince some of the airport directors that we've done that to go back the other direction. Just because you're giving people so many more options, both in terms of connections and in creating new destinations that they can fly to nonstop. We'll get into some of the specifics of this and why this is so important, but each one of our bids, we're talking about roughly 40 to 50% more traffic than what exists for Rockland today. And that stems from a whole lot more capacity. There are about 50% more seats that we're offering than what a non-seat provider can bring into this airport, and significantly lower fares depending on the destination mix, something like $30 to $45 average per passenger. And we'll get into the detail of that, I think, here. So just as a little bit difficult to see, but I think this is really important information to key into what this potentially means for the community, because this has been hugely important for the constituents in the places where we come into. Right now, kind of out of Cape's bid, Cape is highlighted here, just as the incumbent carrier, and I think probably just worth consideration for comparison as to where Contour would be and what this jet aircraft would mean. Right now is proposing, and I think it is similar to what they had previously in this community, a fare of $130. So that's considerably higher than other tier communities. I think the fare they have in Augusta is closer to $80. And that's nothing about economy. I think that's really a function of the additional demand that exists right now in this market, and likely the fact that you're getting folks, probably visitors into this area that are able to support higher fares. But that's coming, I think, at the cost of folks that are locally wanting to take advantage of being able to come here at an affordable price. Contour doesn't have that plan. Our average fare is going to be $85. It's very similar to what we put forward to Augusta, which is the community that we've received a recommendation for as part of this process. It'll ultimately come down to the Department of Transportation to make that selection, but we have received the community support for that. And in this community specifically, we think we can bring down fares by about 35%. That's what we've baked in. If that is the Boston option. If it was the DC option, in theory, it could go as high as $100, but either way, you're talking about at least a 30% savings for consumers in this community. We're really proud of the ability for us to promote service, and we've included a considerable budget as part of our bid to do this. About $75,000 annually is something we'd be able to commit to for supporting of our service. We can do this in a couple different ways. We've got communities that the airport or the community leadership feels a tremendous amount of conviction that they want to be really kind of owning that. And we can turn those decisions over and effectively just pay bills to the community. On the other side, we've got airports that say that you're the airline, that's your job, and should be incentivized to maximize passengers, which of course we are. And we own that responsibility, but really kind of the most effective option that we have is finding leaders in the community to work with, to bring our experience of working in over 20 essential air service markets that are a lot like this one, but then also understanding the dynamics that might be unique to this airport, to this region, events that are here, that we want to make sure that we're capitalizing on too. And that's really kind of our preferred way to work, but we lean heavily into our partners, both the ones that exist today and the ones that we're in the process of implementing, like JetBlue and Delta, to kind of get global reach. But really what we're doing in the community is being actively involved marketing our brand, which we're very proud of and have considerable flexibility on to work with the community to bootstrap it. And so a little bit, I think, of history that is important to see kind of where like the trends have been going for this community, particularly recently. And it's something that we feel like is a big part of why we saw opportunity in this part of the country, is that there are this community included is one that has seen a decline versus historic traffic levels. In 2025, there's about 12,500 passengers, and that is the lowest numbers that have existed since, and that's actually, it should be 2009, that has happened in this community if you take out the years of 2020 and 2021. And we're expecting 40 to 60% growth off of that number. What's important, I think, for you I think, as community leaders to understand is whether that's something that is real or there's something that isn't a proposal, and Liam could add to this as well, but we're very deliberate in what our passenger expectations are because it's directly correlated to our potential financial performance in the community. So for us to kind of artificially inflate these numbers would just be to the detriment of Contour, and this is very much lifted from our experience of following the communities like this one. And why? So I think it's important to believe that that matters and understand why that's important. And I'll first touch on the quality of life benefits for what that means. So that's a whole lot of folks who see this and believe this and have heard this from our friend multiple times in this community, is that there's folks that aren't using the local airport, they're not benefiting from that because they're not comfortable with the product, or that the fares are pushing them to other airports and they're driving to Portland and anywhere as far as Boston for their trip. And we want to make more convenient air access for people that live in this community to benefit from their local airport. And that is a direct correlation to what it means for the federal funding of the facility here as well.
Yeah, so in the 2024 Payday Reauthorization Act, it changed how funding occurred. And previously you had to get to kind of 10,000 employments in order to receive federal funding. With that change, they lowered the minimum way down, and then it's pro rata for passenger impact to get the funding. So what it essentially means is, for every passenger you're not getting, losing out $155 could go back into the airport for grants. So we believe, based on our proposal for on the passenger counts, that's 380,000 to 520,000 additional opportunity federal funding for the airport here in this community, which is real.
Really, the healthy cycle that we're trying to create is that a resident here today that lives here that isn't able to use the local airport now is travel is more affordable, it's more comfortable, or it's just possible for them, where it wasn't previously. And then locally, there's a direct benefit in terms of more federal dollars coming. So it's really a win-win in that respect. And to the point earlier about this coming from real numbers, we followed Cape Air in 4 markets, and again, and in each one of these cases, I would say like Cape Air is doing a wonderful job. They're a reliable operator. They do a great job commercially in the communities they're liked, I think, in every one of these places they flew to. And I say that for a couple of reasons, just like to highlight how much respect we have for them as an operator, but then the reality is what the number of passengers that can be generated with considerably less seats and with higher fares is significantly different than what they have been with a low fare jet service. And across the board, we've seen an average tenure return 40% into the communities that we come into following Cape. That's not a subset, it's not a selection. That's kind of the total set of markets where we follow them as a carrier. And what I think that is very similar is Manistee, Michigan, to what we specifically keyed into. That's a community, I think similar to this one, and that there's a degree of certainly a degree of tourism that goes into it, but a lot of folks that aren't using their local airport or have pushed off of high fares before, they're generating 16,000 passengers of traffic. It was an increase of over 20% in that first year. This year, we've added another 20 to 30, we'll add another 20 to 30% to that number. And likely get them closer to 20,000 passengers. That's a place where there's only about 20,000 people in that whole. It's about like the number of what exists here. So we look at those numbers, we look at the infrastructure that exists at Rockland today, and just have a tremendous amount of confidence that we can bring in air service here in a more significant way. And so just as a recap of why we think we're the right choice, first offering cabin class jet service with improved accessibility for folks, over 50% more seats, 30% lower fares, considerable consumer savings. That is going to translate to additional passengers that are going to benefit from using Arlington Airport and lead to a investment in terms of federal dollars coming into the facility. And thank you so much for the time and apology for the delayed start. Happy to answer any questions as well.
I've got some tough questions. I'm gonna ask a bunch of people some tough questions. Can you go back to the slide where you had the four,
This one?
yes. In the last presentation, and we were talking about, because I saw your presentation earlier, as I did Cape Air. You said that you were no longer gonna be in 2 of these markets.
Correct, yeah.
And so I wanted to know why, and if you talked about the seats being, the availability of more seats being a bit, being important for the economical financial support of the airlines. If you don't get the additional passengers, and you don't meet those financial considerations, what happens?
Yeah, so maybe first I'll take the selection of markets. So of these 4, 2 of these, we like to say we kind of graduated them to like the next level of carrier. And so, and don't get me wrong, like those came up this year, we competed for them, we wanted to hold them, they're very high performing markets for us. But the first one, Marion, Illinois, they now American Airlines did that, and they're coming in with a 76 seat jet. And the community made a decision to go from Concorde with a 30-seat airplane to American Airlines with a 76-seat airplane. And that's something that we would have loved to see them make a different decision, but also we could understand the logic behind that. And then like also with Owensboro, Kentucky, and these are places that, again, we have really good relationships with, I'd say. That's one where United Airlines came in and they saw the amount of traffic. And the community wanted to keep growing. They were really close to a couple other airports, in particular Evansville, Indiana, where they've got to be competitive, and they had a 30-seat jet with us. And then United Airlines offered them a 50-seat regional jet, and ultimately they wanted to continue on a trajectory of growth. And I think it's just the same thing that happens with Cape, is I think we've done a really good job in those communities. They're very happy, and in some cases couldn't believe the passenger numbers we got them to, but where they wanted to be as a to keep that momentum going.
So basically, those markets, you did too good a job.
Yeah, that's how we would do it.
What happens here if you don't, because one of the things we're starting to see is the economy is getting tougher. What happens if you don't see the increase in seats that make it financially viable for you? do you back out of markets where it's no longer working?
No, we've never done that. We've always maintained our commitment to communities. What I would tell you is that we're always disciplined in the way that we build these projections. I think these feel very conservative to us. When we talk about like a Manistee having, we know that Manistee in its second year will have close to 20,000 passengers. And that's a community that's 60% of the size of this one. It doesn't, has a significant amount of tourism, but not the level that exists here. So when we talk about something that's nominally more than that as part of our forecast, we feel like we presented something that's very conservative. And that's important for us because we are going to stick with our communities for the full length of any contract. So if it doesn't happen, we'll be losing money here and then we'll reassess as part of the next bid, but we haven't exited communities for during the term.
Okay. Thank you.
I have a question about the cost of fuel and how much, I mean, you see all of the larger airlines, their rates are astronomical right now. And I'm just wondering how that will impact your ability to keep your flights at the $85 to $100 level.
Yeah, I can speak, and you can probably add to this. Well, fortunately, we've seen a little bit of relief. I'd be a lot lying to you if it wasn't something that was concerning to us, especially when we were starting to see the spike and oil prices were getting to $120 in banks. But what I would say is like our general learning across our system has been that we really benefit from having low fares, not just in terms of like a good thing for the community, but in terms of actually the absolute amount of revenue that we can generate. So the other thing that's happening in a lot of our communities is like our summer bookings have looked phenomenal. We've had in some markets, like places where we've taken a fare increase, but we're seeing a tremendous amount of growth. And what we think is happening is in almost all of our communities, just like this one, people aren't normally just looking at their local airport. They're looking at what the price is in Portland, they're looking at the price in Boston, and they're weighing that out as to like what the value is. Now, all of a sudden, when I shop that fare out of Portland, and it's $150 higher, and I know that I can count on an affordable fare out of Rockland on Contour, then it's going to generate, additional traffic for us. So our traffic numbers have never been better right
One other question. You would have one dedicated jet for this that would do most of the flights and a couple of pilots. Would they live here? If you had a mechanic, would they live in the community?
So just to clarify on the way we think, but we would have a dedicated aircraft. So what that would practically mean is it's like one airplane that's probably here for a couple of weeks and then it's getting rotated through the system. And so when I mentioned like the 22 versus the 29, this would be 23, we could source an additional aircraft to be able to keep a comparable ratio. So that aircraft, we would work with the community on this. We've got a couple examples where people don't want the aircraft overnight. Here, I think what makes the most sense is for the aircraft to remain in Oakland. And that's going to provide the best possible connections, both in terms of having a later flight in the evening and having an earlier flight in the morning. So the aircraft would have overnight here. For technicians, if there wasn't something where it was advantageous to work with somebody on the field that has AMPs, and this community is also unique in that you've got a 135 operator based here that has some of that capability, and the way that I would want to do this is probably explore opportunities with them. Is that would be the first path, and then if we didn't have the option to use their technicians, we would hire 2 folks locally to be able to get coverage. The pilots wouldn't live here, but they would be overnighting here. And so they would have, we'd work with a local hotel and we'd be buying 3 rooms every night for the 2 pilots in the flight time.
Okay.
See how long the flight would take from Rockland to Boston?
In the air, it's 20 minutes. We would likely block it for about 15 minutes, just to be conservative.
Sorry, I feel like Columbo keep asking. Question. You don't currently fly in Boston.
We don't,
How tough is it to get into the Logan?
Logan's a challenging airport to get into, but we wouldn't be bidding this if we weren't confident in our ability to do that. And we've been engaged with Moonsport, but more importantly, with our partner airlines about making sure we get the space at the right time. So there's a lot of construction folks are getting moved around in Boston, but we've done right away from some.
I grew up in Massachusetts. Logan Airport has been under construction my entire life.
Right. Thank you.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think for the money. It would be a get out of it.
Last one. Final one.
You're ready to go.
Good afternoon, everybody. Commissioners, thank you very much for your time today. Really appreciate it. Love to be here in person. My name is Mike Glory. I'm the president and CEO. Been in this role for about 90 days, but not new to Cape Air or the airline industry. I've been in the airline industry for 25 years. Prior to taking on this role, I was the CFO the last 15 years. We've had, let me introduce, we have a whole team here. And as soon as I mentioned we were going to Rockland, Maine on a day like today, everybody wanted to come. Why don't you guys introduce yourselves?
Sure. Casey Stone, the new chief financial officer, but also been with Cape Air, from.
Good afternoon, Director of Operations. Matthew Baker, Northeast Regional Manager.
Station manager. Mary Stanley, Northeast Marketing Manager. Rebecca Chase, Director of Marketing.
I'm Andrew Bonney. I'm the Chief Operating Officer for Cape Air.
Well, as you can see, we brought every department here. Right? So if there's any questions, please ask as we're going along. We've had the privilege of serving this community and this airport for 18 plus years, almost my whole time here with Cape Air. It's been pretty amazing. We're an integral part of the community. Our employees live here, including our pilots. We have roughly about 11 employees here. Our marketing team has done an amazing job with partnerships throughout the region, which is amazing. And of course, we have a city ticket office on Main Street that we just passed coming in. I appreciate the kind words, Ben. It's mutual. You guys have 3 amazing carriers here. And you heard from the first 2 proposals, promises of what they're going to do. What you'll hear from us is just what we've done over the last 18 years. Reliable service, great connectivity out of Boston. Like I said, employees that live here, deep community connections, and a proven operation that runs really well. Our customers love it. They know it and they trust it. With that, I'll just step back for a minute. I'll let Andrew go through our proposal and wait for any questions.
Thanks, Mike. It is great to be back here with you all here up at Knox County. I was here for the original meeting back in 2008 when we were selected, and it's been wonderful to see the evolution of the air service here. When I joined Cape Air in 2007, we were at 49 aircraft. We're at 97 now. This is our route today. We're the world's largest commuter airline. And we've grown from being a relatively small mom and pop airline to being the world's largest commuter carrier by doing a great job one community at a time and being part of the communities that we serve. We're based right down in Cape Cod. We're a stone's throw away. Steve Phillips, our Director of Operations, flew us up here today. So we're easily accessible, and it's just part of being a New England company. This is our heart here. We're delighted to be here talking with you about our service. From 2007 to 2024, I worked on the commercial side at Cape Air. In February of 2004, Mike's predecessor, CEO Linda Markham, asked me to become the Chief Operating Officer. And she gave me the mandate. We must become, well, safety is always first. That's just off the table because that's always job one. But we've got to become a really reliable carrier. And I'm pleased to report that we had 99.4% company controllable cancellations in 2025. Year to date 2026, we're up to 99.7. company controllable cancellations. We've also been working on our on-time performance. According to the official airline guide, in March, April, and May 2026, Cape Air was the #1 on-time airline in North America, bar none. So the Cape Air team, thank you guys. I really appreciate it. Good job. Some of this I'm going to cut right to the chase because we've known each other for a long time. We've had this privilege to be here for a long time. Because of Cape Air's partnerships with the major carriers, at Boston Logan, we have long-standing relationships with the airlines that comprise 77% of the seats at Boston. #1 airline at Boston is Delta Airlines. We've been working with them for almost 20 years now. We're actually on Delta's website, as well as JetBlue, American, United, and some of the smaller carriers. The ones that we're missing are really the low-cost carriers like Southwest and Frontier. They don't allow interlines on their side, at least with domestic carriers. So we have the Amadeus infrastructure to partner with any of the carriers that will connect. That's been a huge strength for Cape Air. These are some screenshots of Cape Air service on the websites of the major carriers. So you can see that we're on the JetBlue website. Here's the RKD code on United, Delta, and American. That's worked really well. Bags get tagged all the way through in both directions. It makes it easy for people who are looking to come here to just use their favorite major airline website to get here. We're on the supermarket shelf everywhere, essentially. And on the back end, we partner with all the major systems that a travel agent would use for any of the major tourism booking companies. So that's sort of on the macro side. We do all the big stuff well, but we also do the little stuff well. We've got a city ticket office right here in Rockland on Main Street. Do we get a lot of walk-in traffic? Nope. But you know what it does? Is it keeps the lights on in the storefront. And we use it because of the technology today. We use it as part of our reservation system, 1-800-CAPE-AIR. So the calls come right here. We've got the logic in the phone tree so that 207 phone calls come to our, any local phone call, including cell phones, will come to that office, if not already. And with this, I'd love to invite Mary Stanley, our Northeast Regional Marketing Manager, to join us up here.
Thank you.
You're on.
So I am delighted to be here with all of you today. I am the Northeast Regional Marketing Manager at Cape Air, which means I'm dedicated to marketing the Rockland-Boston route, and I'm committed to ensuring that we are good stewards of the Rockland community that we are so privileged to serve. Our marketing plan encompasses both local advertising, including vendors such as Mixed Main Media and Gray Media Group out of Bangor. We also use national vendors such as Nesson, where we advertise during Boston Bruins games and Red Sox games. Go Sox. I've collaborated with Jacob to run a feature in the Camden Famous coffee table book. And we've also done print media with the Travel Main Guide. Equally important as marketing our air services, our engagement in the community. We are a sponsor of the Wings and Wheels event that's coming up in August of this year. That's for the Owl's Head Transportation Museum, along with Rockland's Lobster Festival. We're also a sponsor there. Becky did an amazing job this past December raising, collecting food for the local food pantry. And we probably will do it again this year.
Yeah.
And I'm truly excited to work with Jacob on an event that we plan to do probably this fall, which is a Touch a Plane, Touch a Truck event for young families in the community. So Cape Air is not only dedicated to providing frequent flights between Boston and Rockland, we're also committed to the people living in this community.
Thanks, Mary.
Thank you.
So I want to talk specifically about Cape Air service here for Rockland. We've heard about capacity, and I think it's a major point, and it's actually a point Cape Air loves in this community. because of the way that your EAS determination was written, right here in Rockland, it's a little unusual for the program. There's 117 communities in the continental US that are entitled to EAS. It's a wonderful accoutrement for your communities. This is one of the few that's got a seasonal increase in the capacity that's allowed. And I think that's a really important distinction based on what you heard about some of the ridership. Cape Air is allowed to fly 6 daily flights during your peak season, 4 daily flights on the shoulder season, and 3 in the winter. Which if you look at our load factor and just what the overall travel patterns are in this area, that's a terrific fit for what's happening here with the economy in Knox County. We've got by far the most convenient schedule. On the left, you can see our departing flights. This is our actual schedule this summer. If you select a regional jet, it's nothing, it's not their fault. They're awesome, but this is literally what the DOT allows them to fly. It's only 12 a week. So it's either 1 or 2 flights in a day. Whereas every single day, we're allowed to have 6 flights. Again, it's not on them, that's just the way the program is set up. And because we're able to fly so many flights in the summer, we actually have 5% more seats than the RJ, not less. Now, in the winter, we only have 3 flights a day. That's still way more convenient. That's 75% more departures than an RJ is allowed to have. But if you have empty seats in the winter already, what's the point of having a bigger airplane if you already have unused capacity? So I think the key thing, when you have tourism coming in here, when people from your constituents from here are trying to go out into the world, that's when we actually have a seats advantage versus the RJ. So that's a really, and maybe not intuitive point, is that if you upgauge your aircraft here, just because of the way this EAS determination was written, you will actually decrease your capacity in peak season. You get more seats in the winter, but frankly, based on the load factor data that we see, I don't think that'll help you. It's just not that many people are traveling during the first quarter. On fare, I appreciate you guys bringing it up. I'm going to read to you a message that I sent this morning, not knowing that this was going to come up here. Maybe, Mike, you could actually set this up a little bit. Mike mentioned that he's only been in the role for
90 days.
90 days?
Yeah. Yeah.
And how long ago did you ask me to take over for the commercial side here?
No.
Just set the context.
Yeah, about 15 days ago, 2 weeks ago. Yeah. And we were looking at the actual passenger numbers, right? We have the same data that they have and looking at, and we see it decreased over the last couple of years. And we literally had the same discussion on fares very, very recently.
So this is an email I sent this morning to our head of revenue manager who sets the fares. Hi, Greg. In the immediate short run, we'd like to take a fresh look at our Rockland fare strategy. We are on our way to Rockland momentarily for a presentation and expect to indicate to them that we are reshaping our Rockland fare strategy to increase ridership and therefore the utility of the Cape Air service to their constituents. Would you please put together a proposal for us to review that would re-index fares around much higher load factors? Thank you, Andrew. So, point well taken. From 2007 to 2024, I did oversee commercial at Cape Air. So I love talking about EAS and small community air service. And as of 15 days ago, Mike's asked me to do it again. So right back in here, as well as also overseeing the operation. So here, first and foremost about safety. I think we all 3 carriers do. Then reliability for your constituency, because small community air service that's unreliable, it doesn't work. And then really looking forward to making sure that we're doing the right thing by your constituency to make the service useful for folks. So to bring it home, we're running a really reliable operation, 99.7% company controllable completion rate year to date. We're being recognized by the official airline guide for being the #1 on-time airline in North America. Last year, we flew 91,000 flights, making us by far the largest commuter airline in the world. We scale really well. Our friends in the industry will talk about having spare aircraft. We literally have dozens of spare aircraft just down the road down in Massachusetts. We've got a really big operation here in Boston. From a connectivity standpoint, Cape Air literally puts Rockland on the websites of all the major carriers that are in and out of Boston. And we've been doing that for years and years, and it works really, really well. When we were coming through the airport today, I saw a bag that was checked by JetBlue, arriving here at Rockland. That's part and parcel of what we do. Because Boston's such a great hub, you've got a local constituency that of course likes to go just to and from Boston for medical or visit friends and family or tourism in both directions. But it's also a great hub. It's worked really well for the now 11 destinations that Cape Air serves from Boston. We think that hub works really, really well. And then from a capacity standpoint, when you need it in the summer, we've got the most capacity and by far the most convenient schedule with 6 flights a day spread throughout the day. Our planes and our pilots, as Mike said, are actually based right here in Rockland. We overnight our aircraft here with crews that live here in the community. Our regional chief pilot, Brian Chilakis, actually bids Rockland on purpose. He loves living here. And then we've got marketing folks just down the road that love participating in the community events and really being part of the community. So with that, I just want to say thank you. It's been a great 18 years. Cape Air looks forward to flying with you and for you for years to come. Any questions? Anybody else?
The question I think that we get from people is, the aircraft, the opportunity to have a jet aircraft come in, would maybe spur some people on that maybe are a little anxious about flying on a propeller aircraft. How do you discuss that, and what's the future for, at some point we ever make that change? Are the jets becoming more available to the airlines?
Sure. I'll let you take that second piece of one chart. We can talk about it later. So a couple key points on how the public perceives aircraft. My experience, having been over 20 years in the industry, starting out at US Airways in their domestic route strategy group, and spending 3 years at United Airlines in their international strategy group, being a pilot myself, is that the general public really doesn't distinguish in a meaningful way from a Cape Air 9-seater to a 30 or a 50, sometimes even a 70-seater. If it's not Southwest Airlines 737, they think of it as a small aircraft. That's honestly the general American consumer's perception. It's not big, it's small, and it doesn't make really that much of a difference. One of the advantages of having a smaller aircraft here is the aviation experience that we really embrace. Now, I was one of those kids who would, 5 and 6 years old, up at the fence of the airport, just watching airplanes. So I'm a little biased, I can see. I just absolutely love the flying experience. And with the smaller aircraft, we get to share that with the community. There's no divider on our aircraft, so the customer can see right out. And flying into Boston down from Rockland, where you're making that left-hand turn onto the forest, that is an amazing ride. And we don't charge extra for the view of the city. We'll talk about the.
Sure, yeah. We started one route, we're up to 35 different destinations today. We have a very niche market with the 9-seat airplane. That being said, for 15 years, we flew ATR 42s in Guam. So if the opportunity comes up, we'll absolutely look at it. I can tell you what we do. We make sure that when we look at.
What's an ATR 42?
It's a bigger airplane. Yeah, it's a bigger airplane that has 42 seats. When we look at different opportunities, we've been in business for 37 years for a reason. Right? When we look at business opportunities, different airplanes, we just want to make sure it's right for both communities and for Cape Air for long-term sustainability.
We've seen, there have been multiple times where we've actually down-gauged service from a Beech 1900 or even Colgan's 30-seat aircraft here, and the increased frequency actually increases total ridership. All of the communities that you saw, our friends at Contour showed, every single one of those had fewer departures. We were at an absolute capacity disadvantage there. They also weren't as seasonal as Rockland is. So I think it's not necessarily an apt comparison to what you've actually got here.
I do have a question. I think I saw this somewhere, but I can't remember what it was. What are your current flight costs? What is it to buy a ticket?
Sure, that's a great question. I don't have a rate sheet right in front of me. Our proposal does show an average of $129. If I may turn it around, what do you think would be acceptable here in Rockland? You've literally got the people in charge of pricing and our
Well, we do have a fair structure. I think they start at 109. Yeah, as I think where they start.
Just, it sounds like you're exploring, you just started this morning. Got the ball rolling. So that's subject to change.
The market here is elastic, which is to say, if so many more people buy tickets because the fare's down, it actually can increase revenue instead of decreasing. And I think that is, as I started taking a look at it, in preparation for coming here today, that did occur to me, having spent lots of time doing exactly this kind of analysis.
Thank you.
Anything else? Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate your time.
Actually, I have a question that's actually.
Sure.
Okay. Just wondering about the noise of the planes. So how does your plane compare to what's currently going in and out of the airport? In terms of this noise?
Yeah, the type of aircraft that we have, the engine, it's stage 3. And so I think both of our, I speak for the site, but kind of or all the aircraft probably here are going to be in the same category. I do think it might be a little higher, it's going to go over faster, so we come and go, and it's going to be happening towards today. So I think the total noise pollution that we generally see for our communities is less. The other thing that I would say is that we know that this is a concern for other communities as well. And I think just like Cape Air has been, we would be very engaged locally with the community, and particularly for folks, constituents that might have a bigger impact from noise. And we're gonna, I think within reasonable commercial parameters, we can work with the community around times and things that are gonna make sense. We're not gonna have a 5 a.m. departure. We're not gonna have an 11 p.m. arrival. It's gonna be kind of at a midday times.
Thank you.
I do have one more question. Cape Air. It occurred to me that both of the other airlines have restrooms on their planes, and Cape Air does not. Is that, how long is the flight to Boston?
Go ahead. Yeah. So two important metrics on how long a flight is. There's the air-to-air time, and we actually are airborne for about 50 minutes. But you need to incorporate the taxi out time and taxi in time. And that from a laboratory standpoint is important as well. And we will block up to an hour and a half into Boston during the busiest times of the day in the summer because of congestion, so that we can be on time for the customers. When I joined Cape Air in 2007 from United Airlines, I was really curious about the bathroom issue. Since 1989, Cape Air's been in service without lavatories in the aircraft, and it works just fine. As a practical matter, the aircraft our size would be, shall we say, socially awkward to use a bathroom because it's just so small. Just leave it right there.
There's nothing else for the moment. I will open it up to public comment. Is there anyone who'd like to comment on the presentations or on the concept of planes flying into the airport? Come right up here so we can see you. Identify yourself and where you're from. You? Yep.
Thank you. My name is Chris Wolf. I'm a Camden resident, a retired photojournalist from Penn Bay Pilot, current business owner of Wolfie's Wheels Taxi and Camden Car Service. It has been it's been my pleasure over the past few years. I've had the taxi cab service for 3 years, which means I have a lot of interaction with the airports, including Augusta, Portland, Logan, Bangor, Bar Harbor, and Rockland. What I like about Cape Air is that they don't treat me as a business provider. They treat me as a business partner. All of their phone calls are polite. The people couldn't be nicer. Their only object is to get whatever service they need me to provide for them as quickly as possible, to make the least inconvenience to the people involved, whether it be delivering a bag that had been too heavy and brought on a later flight, or whether it be take someone to Augusta, take someone to Bar Harbor. I've even taken their passengers to Boston. I find the company easy to work with. They have never been more than accommodating to me, and they pay their bills on time. Which is a big deal for me, being a small business. And the other two presentations that I saw here, as you remember the last time this came up, I covered it extensively as a person for PIMBay Pilot. The other two presentations that I saw today, pretty. It's a pretty picture. It's a pretty package. I think that a jet flying in and out of Owl's Head with accommodating people would be nice. However, they don't fly into Augusta. They don't fly to Bar Harbor. People need to go to these places. It's a regional airline that cares about the people and wants to get them where they want to go in the most expedient manner. And that's been my relationship with Cape Air. So I am endorsing Cape Air for the vote of the commissioners if they are so inclined. Thank you for your time. Good to see you guys again. Yeah. Do you have any questions for me?
Anyone else? I can't, just come up.
Hi, I'm Lawrence Winsbaugh, resident of Owl's Head. I serve as Owl's Head representative on the airport advisory committee. Thank you everyone for those presentations. I had a question for Mr. Boutique, Mr. Kurtman. Did you mention 21 round trip off peak and 42 round trip? Is that right?
Similar to what you heard.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's matching the same.
Can you speak at all to the PC-12's design with, something word advanced noise management system that you referred to?
Yes, so as the was brought up, our aircraft will reach 71 decibels. That is per manufacturer specifications for 71 decibel direct jets aircraft. Dual engine aircraft tend to have a harmonic synchronization issue sometimes, but that's not what I'm not saying that that's what Cape Air has, but sometimes produces some motion sickness. Our aircraft is our engine is in the front of the aircraft versus right next to the ears. I know the Contours, their aircraft, our engines are in the back, so it does also offer that. So both of our aircraft, the engines are away from the passengers, whether it's the PC-12 or the Piaggio P180, it leads to a better passenger experience.
So that's super important from a passenger perspective. And I'm also thinking within the residential community, which Owl's Head is 1,400 people, of the environmental impact of the noise from these different aircraft. So I'm a pilot. I love our airport as it functions as a general aviation community. I live under the approach or departure of 2-1. And we do have flags that still go now, PC-12s. They sound lovely. They're not really defensive. They're also small challengers, mid-range, small jets. So I have a different perspective where I hear and observe those different noise profiles. And so beyond the noise side of it, there's a full picture perspective that has to be considered in that this airport sits within a residential town of 1,400. Is primarily zoned rural residential. I know the airport's there, it's good. Most people are supportive of the airport as it functions currently as a general aviation primarily community and serving that area. And I've been in different capacities dragged into community engagement and hear a lot from our residents. And there are people that speak sometimes negatively about the airport, but largely in support of Cape Air, very grateful for the services that they provide. But where the tipping point comes from being supportive of the airport to wanting to move is if it becomes a hub for regional jets. And there's a very precarious place where we're at, tipping point wise, as far as finding balance with the town of Owl's Head and how the airport's functioning. If it expands in function, it doesn't mean, oh, we're gonna have large 777s, but frequency of regional jets, that creates an environmental impact for people that live living pretty much the airport. So in your decision today, I would just ask please have a whole picture in mind of not just potential financial performance, but how it's going to impact the people that are living in the town that's supporting it. Activity.
What are the people in town telling you about?
So there's a point made about federal funds, and that sounds good, obviously, coming from the perspective of the people paying the bills to support the services. But what that has impacted, for example, the COVID funds between 18 and 20-something million dollars the airports received over the last 7 years, how that's translated to infrastructural reinforcements or however you want to term it. So even though the airport's not growing in geography, it's growing and able to support more frequent, larger aircraft, more frequent takeoffs and landings. It's a different growth. So that's the concern. I'd say 98% at least of my town. I'm working on a comprehensive plan with the comprehensive committee. We've had 6 listening sessions with the public at this point. And that is that's top 2 of the concerns for residents. And that's very objective. People are coming and just sharing, we want feedback. This is your opportunity to guide where the town is going, what the vision is for the community, how we couple our ordinances if we have to redraft them or change them or however you want to look at it. But that's number 2.
So specifically, do they prefer more civil aviation, less jet travel, less, I mean, is it a competition between jet and propeller aircraft, or because the jets would fly fewer times as opposed to Cape Air? Where's that?
I agree. I understand what you're saying. There is more issue with the decibel level of the jets than there is with the decibel level, because noise is pretty much a consistent priority for people. Than how Cape Air is impacting that. Most people are in support of Cape Air, not just because it's helpful to them in their weekly schedule to go wherever they're going, but in terms of it's easy to live, it's okay to live, it's bearable. The jets have become a different tipping point, not just because the concept of, oh my gosh, it's jets, but it's a palpable effect on living, on quality of life for most people. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
The only question, I'm Jeff Northbridge, I used to be the airport manager, and I'm currently on the APAC. The only question I got about the 30 passenger aircraft is that would be a scheduled flight of more than 10 passengers?
So the way that we operate is under what's called a public charter, under 135. And so from a customer's perspective, you're flying on a schedule, it's a scheduled charter in effect. So you're going to have a scheduled departure time at 9 a.m. or 1 p.m. or whatever the case may be.
So you do not think that the FAA is going to require us to go Part 139?
Where definitively you would not have to go Part 139.
So now on the other side of it, if you're not a scheduled airline, which you're saying you're not, then would TSA say we don't need to be here, and with the cuts in funding, they would happily leave, I think?
No, that's not the case. So we are what's called scheduled charter. And generally, I think across TSA regional airports is like challenging. And I think what the administration is generally looking for is better utility, that we consistently shown across the board that we've grown passengers. So in no case have we had a federalized airport, which is to say that TSA is on the field, that TSA has ever walked away. In fact, it's actually the opposite. When we're able to demonstrate that more passengers are coming, we've actually been able to bring in our working with partner airports to bring TSA to those places.
I do hear what you're saying, but I think you're walking a fine line, and it just seems difficult for me to understand that you're unscheduled for TSA, I mean for FAA, but you're scheduled for TSA. And my fear is that one of the two of them are gonna force us to do something here we don't want.
Yeah, well, what I could say to hopefully give some confidence around that is that we're in over 20 EAS cities. I think this is very established precedent in terms of the way that we operate as a public charter, scheduled charter. And we've got a great relationship with the TSA, and we've never had a challenge from a staffing perspective at any of the locations that we go to. And
Are those airports already part of there?
never said we are. So it's not, we comply to the non 39. And we do today.
Anyone else? We got another hand. Sir.
Thank you. I'm Jan Gaudio. I'm a resident of South Thomaston. I'm also on the APAC. Couple of questions. I'm trying to get my mind around kind of an apples to apples comparison here. I know it's not quite that, but starting with a couple of you mentioned your time in business. I think Cape Air just mentioned 35 years in business. 37 years, thank you. How about Contour and Boutique? How long have you been in this business?
I founded in 82.
Okay. All right.
2009, sorry.
All right, thanks. You also talked about prices from $79, I think, to $129. One of you mentioned that there were no fees, no hidden fees, no baggage fees, or anything like that. Is that true with all three of you? That the price you pay for that seat covers everything?
For Boutique, we do not have any extras.
We do have baggage fees, but what I would say is that the expected revenue that we're talking about $85, that's what consumers are going. And so our bid reflects the product of passengers times $85. So that's meant to capture what we would expect based on communities like this one. The bag that has to do with coupon revenue, the ticketing revenue, as well as the ancillary. That's going to be the total cost of travel.
Okay. So the bottom line is it's $85 out of my pocket, includes my bags. Yeah. And then the last question I had was, Cape Air used to have a voucher, what we call a frequent flyer program, which at that time I was a frequent flyer back and forth from DC. It went away. And I think one of you mentioned, I think Boutique mentioned that they were considering a voucher program.
Yeah, we have.
Or you have one?
We have.
Okay. How about the other airlines? Is there any desire to bring back something that would be a frequent flyer discount or a program like that?
We hear that all the time from customers. We had a commuter book for a long time. We went to an electronic commuter book and we're looking for the right option for us. So yes, we are looking at it. We don't have anything in place right now.
Can I add one thing? Our current communities, Pendleton, Messina, Boston, Portland, they all use this program, so it's not the voucher program. It's not just for the person, it's for the community, the business owner. So if somebody had a business, they could purchase tickets for, or purchase the book of vouchers for their employees to get from point A to point B. That's what we offer. And it's the same price, you can use that voucher anytime you want.
Okay. Thank you. I think that was it for me. Appreciate your time.
Thank you. Anyone else?
I'd like to just read emails that I've gotten. There were only two that I received that one of you hadn't really was tagged in, just for the sake of transparency. I figured I'd read them all now. So Brenda from the area says Contour would be a great addition to our area. We have numerous business and personal people who find it impossible to find flights into our airport, and driving from Portland, Bangor is a long trip. We need more